Hi, thanks again for tuning into Sim's Workshop. Sorry, I didn't like that point of view here on YouTube. Hope you're having a great day. So today we're going to be talking about Ghost with Song by Erica Waters. That was a really good book. I live in Florida. I lived in Florida for quite some time, and this novel takes place in Florida. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it because I'm a Bostonian at heart, and there's a lot about Florida that bugs me, like the constant sunshine. I'm not a sunshiny person. I am a rain, clouds, and fall, and cloudy skies kind of girl. Also, the humidity makes my hair explode, so at least Boston's kind of dry, so when I straighten it, it stays straight. But what I liked about this book was through the narrative, I was able to see the beauty of what Florida has to offer, and I really think that goes in line with, we take what we have for granted. I certainly took my time in Massachusetts for granted. I tried to appreciate it as much as I could, but living here in South Florida, I think I take a lot for granted. So this novel really is beautiful in its description. It's really beautiful in its narrative. And it really lured me into the story. I thoroughly enjoyed the progression of the story. I loved the development of the story and how it grew and flourished, and it really just sucked me in. Like I said, it really did remind me of some of the beauty that Florida does have to offer people, and I think living here, you kind of forget that there's more to Florida than just sunny beaches, So I really loved how Waters was able to submerge the reader in this small town in sort of a rural area of Florida. It's really untouched by tourism, so I think that's another thing that I really enjoyed. The fact that this was a place that was untouched by tourism. It's just a small town, kind of in the backwoods of Florida, swampy, alligator infested, but I loved it. I loved this description. It was really beautiful how it unfolded and how the reader really got to understand the world in which Shady Grove lives in. I really do appreciate that Waters was able to do that with the storytelling. So, I think that says a lot about Waters' writing, that she's able to really submerge the reader in this world that she has created. It's such a contemporary take on a ghost story, with fantastical elements to it, and I really do like that a lot, actually. I thought it was well done how the story unfolds with the reader, and it grows, it does evolve with the reader. And that was something I thought was really beautiful, how it evolves with the reader. It was very thought-provoking. It was very riveting. It was something that was worth reading so that it could unfold before your eyes. I hope I'm making sense. It was a beautiful story, ultimately. Even now it kind of haunts me, and I think that it says something when I can remember who these characters are as well. So I want to talk about that. The story just follow. Well, let me talk a little bit more about the story. So it is, like I said, it is a ghost story, but it's like a fantastical take on the ghost story. It does have a lot of southern charm to it. You can hear that southern accent with the characters, and I loved it. Sometimes a southern accent can sometimes annoy me, but just like a Bostonian accent can annoy me, Even though I'm a Bostonian at heart, I say my R's. But I think that it lent itself to create a charming atmosphere for the reader. You know, you are submerged in this ghost story. You are submerged in this take where Shady, she's kind of caught in this situation. Her stepfather is dead. Her brother is the prime suspect, and in order for her to kind of solve the crime, she has to find her father's. That's what's wrong. The tripod's not flat. It looked weird to me. Sorry. She has to find her father's fiddle that allowed him to commune with the dead. So she is able to commune with the dead with the help of the fiddle. Before the fiddle, she kind of is aware of ghosts. She is aware of when a haunting is taking place. And that is because, you know, communing with with the spirits is pretty prominent on her father's side. And the reason why is pretty incredible. Like I said, the story is constantly evolving. It's constantly growing. There's a lot of twists and turns, and there's a lot of revelations with the story and with the hauntings that create, and they all stem from emotions. What I want to say, this novel is emotional, and I think it's very reminiscent of this idea that we as humans, we create our own hauntings. You know, we are either haunted by anger, or grief, or sadness, or happiness. You know, we create our own hauntings, and I think that's what Waters is trying to get to with this novel, and I can't really explain why, because I don't want to give it away. Like I said, the story is constantly evolving, it's constantly growing, it's moving forward, it's becoming more and more and more than just about this murder case. It's about Shady and her family and the secrets, you know, secrets to haunting her family, and I think that's another thing that's really impactful about the story. You know, secrets are bad. I can't tell you how many books I've read where everyone just keeps secrets, and it's just like, no, just freaking tell them the truth. Like, secrets don't help anyone. They just create more tension, but in a good way as far as the story is concerned, because you are on this journey with Shady as she's trying to understand this fiddle, as she's trying to understand these ghosts, as she's trying to solve a murder, she's trying to take apart all the secrets I've created, all these hauntings and these ghosts, and she wants to move on. You know, she wants to let go of everything and just move on and help her family move on, and I think that's quite beautiful, because that's what the story ultimately leads up to, just letting go of the pain, letting go of the grief, letting go of the sadness. You know, that is what is at the core of the story, and that's why I really liked it. But like I said, you know, there's a lot of magic to it as well with the fiddle, and the fiddle is also connected to emotions, you know, the same way the ghosts are connected to emotions. I thought that was really imaginative. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty profound. Oh god, sorry, it's like something's in my eye, but as you can see, I have eyeliner on, so oh gosh, I think it's just my allergies acting up again. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. I think it's interesting to see this fantasy evolve into this kind of ghost story atmosphere. You know, the eeriness does stick with the reader. It does create this really haunting atmosphere that lures you in. You are sitting here, you're reading the book, and you're just enraptured by it. You're captivated by it. You know, it's just a beautiful, thought-provoking, moving novel that is quite powerful. It is quite impactful. That's something I did appreciate from it. Now, something else I took away from the novel was the characterization. You know, these are memorable characters. You know, I just reviewed a book where I only remember the main protagonist's name. That's partially because I wrote it down. So I think it's always important if I can remember all these characters. You got Shady Grove, Sarah, Orlando, Seder, Rose, and Keith. Keith or Kevin? I think it's Keith. He's the only one he's very minor. He is important to the story, don't get me wrong, But as far as the other characters are concerned, his presence there is kind of minor. I don't think he's as important as everyone else. He's important for plot advancement, let me say that. So that is something I took away from this novel. I can remember who these characters are. You know, these are captivating characters, not very real. You know, they do resonate with the reader very strongly, to the point where Sarah pissed me off. Sarah pissed me off. She's an okay friend, but she's not a great friend. You know, Shady just loses her stepfather, her brother's just caught in this mess, and instead of kind of being there for her, she's absolutely absent. She doesn't go to the funeral, she doesn't do anything, and this is after they've kind of shared their feelings for one another, because there is LGBTQ representation in this novel. But I don't like Sarah. I don't think she's good enough for Shady Grove. And Shady is bisexual. She is also attracted to Sitter as well, but I liked their relationship more. That's not to say that this book kind of diminishes LGBTQ representation. It doesn't, because Rose is also part of the LGBTQ community, and her and Sarah, their dynamic, I like their dynamic way more than Sarah and Shady. I don't think Sarah and Shady work together because they have such different, strong personalities, whereas Rose and Sarah, they balance each other out quite well. So, like I said, Sarah pissed me off though, because I don't think she was good enough for Shady. She wasn't there whenever she would need her. And what Sarah says, she's like, well, you didn't call me to tell me you need me. And Shady's like, why should I have to call you? You're supposed to be my friend. Why wouldn't you just show up? You know, like, Sarah kind of puts her own discomfort first before putting other people first. And that's what really annoyed me about Sarah. Now, her and Rose, Rose just is very headstrong. She's very personable. She kind of just says whatever without really any ill intent. She's very blunt. She's very honest. And I think that's why her and Sarah work together, because they balance each other out. You know, Sarah is a little bit more of an introvert, whereas Rose is definitely an extrovert. And they work together. I liked their dynamic. And whereas with Sitter and Shady, they also work. You know, Shady is more introverted, given her past, given her origins, given, you know, this ghostly fiddle. And Sitter is more outgoing. I mean, he's a damn cowboy. So that's why they worked better together. But you get to see their relationships unfold. You get to see this tension. You get to see this development in their friendships. All of them, including Orlando. You get to see this really strong friendship go through the ringer, but come out stronger for it. And I really liked these dynamics. You know, like I said, even though Sarah annoyed me, you can still find all these characters incredibly relatable. They could be your best friend, they could be your neighbor, they could be someone you went to school with. These are relatable, real characters. You know, I understand where Sarah's coming from, because I think sometimes I'm a little bit like Sarah, which is probably why I didn't like her so much, putting your own discomfort first up before other people. However, you know, I think I've grown up and learned, you know, I'm 29 now, so I think I've grown up enough to realize that that's bad. So that's probably why Sarah annoyed me so much, because I was able to relate to her a little too much. And then you have Shady, you know, she's going through so much, but she doesn't lose herself in the sorrow and grief and the secrets. And her and Sitter, they balance each other out really well. Like I said, he is such a nice guy, you know, but he's so believable. He's a damn cowboy, but he's such a Boy Scout. I adored him. And Orlando, I think Orlando annoyed me too sometimes. You know, there were aspects of all the characters that kind of did annoy me sometimes, but their dynamic was still really strong. Their friendship, the development that went into creating their friendship, their dynamics, their personalities does resonate throughout the entire story. That's what makes it really captivating, because you're able to connect to these characters on an emotional level. You're able to connect to the story on an emotional level. And it sits with you. You know, all these references to bluegrass music, you know, it does create this sort of haunting sensation in your head that you're just drawn in. You want to see how this story is going to go. You want to see how it's going to unfold and develop, and it really is a thoughtful story. You know, I was really interested in the premise of it when I first received the arc for it, but when I was reading it, I was just completely drawn in. I was so submerged in the storytelling. I loved it. I think this is a beautiful, wonderful story. Of that, I have no doubt. I really do think it is something incredible to read. Did it blow me away? No. But the fact that I can sit here and not look at my notes that are all over there, and remember all these names, and remember how it made me feel, that means something. You know, it means it impacted me on an emotional level. And that's what I want to say to you. You know, this is an emotional ghost story. It is also a fantasy. But it's a very contemporary fantasy within a ghost story lens, and I think it creates a wonderful atmosphere for the reader. You know, it's definitely an excellent novel. Highly recommend it. I'm going to go ahead and give Ghostwood Song by Erica Waters 4 stars. You know, I do think this is a story worth reading. So on that note, I'm going to include a link to purchase the book in the description below. The link does go to bookshop.org. A percentage of all proceeds do go to supporting local booksellers. If money's too tight, you can check out this book from your local library. I highly recommend checking it out, and I highly recommend supporting the libraries because they definitely deserve the support. You know, they're a great resource for the community. And I hope you will support me by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and as always, happy reading!